Welcome to the Paris Motor Show, where we start with the question, what's the cheapest way to drive an AMG? Well, buy a used one. What's the cheapest way, the new entryway to get a new AMG? Is this one here, the Mercedes-AMG A35. A new entry model for the world of AMG, they say, and we'll tell you everything about it horsepower-wise and of course also about the styling. And we'll start here in the front directly because you can usually get an AMG-Line with a diamond pin grille. This is not here because in the true AMG model we got this horizontal dual fin front grille to make it a little bit more aggressive, and also this is the so-called edition 1 with more aggressive spoilers. There's also an aerodynamic package here at each sides. And we'll also see more about this edition 1 aerodynamic package later on with the vehicle. Also very nice blue color, don't you think so? Headlamps come with halogen in standard with the A-Class, and then you can optionally get LED, or here the optional multi-beam LED also with the high beam function. 4 meters 41 or 14 foot 5 is the total length of the A-Class in this new generation. It's 12 centimeters longer than the previous generation. And you know that so far the A45 was the entry-level AMG, now the A35. So later on there will also be a 45 again. Here, usually it starts with 18-inch rims in the 35 trim. Those ones are special 19-inch trim with golden nuances. This is also part of this so-called first edition. And we also have contrasting mirror caps here with a dark frame. That's also a signal for the AMG models to make it a little bit sportier. The dropping line, also as the usual A-Class, right here above the door handles. You can see the dividing in light and shadow. Also then with the contrast lower spoiler right there. Also the 35 will get bigger brake discs, and we can already see it right here. This is also part of the aerodynamic package. Usually it would just have a small rear lip, and I would also go for that one because I think, it's a little bit too much. Or what do you think? So, if you want it to be, really screaming out, you can go for this aerodynamic package and also add even more spice to this very vehicle. In the rear, also a normal A-Class in the new generation appears a little bit wider. Yes, it is a little bit wider, but also those horizontally drawn taillights make it appear even wider. And then the 35 here has, especially in the first edition, a massive rear diffuser. It will be a little bit smaller without this aerodynamic package, and exhaust tips, but again, they're just exhaust tips. The real exhaust is on the inside, but we have one on each side. And let me tell you something about suspension already. For a normal A-Class, you get a normal suspension and an adaptive suspension. The AMG models come with an adaptive AMG suspension, so that's also planned for the A35. So what's under the hood? The 2-liter 4-cylinder turbo petrol engine here with 306 horsepower, and the acceleration figure to 100 kilometers or 62 miles an hour is 4.7 seconds. So if you think about the previous generation A45, had 4.2 seconds, so 0.5 seconds is the acceleration difference, but it's already pretty decent, so I guess we will not lack any power with this one. Soon we will also be able to drive it, and then you can check out the full driving review, and then of course we'll also compare it to the predecessor A45. Of course a new 45 then will have more horsepower, or will it even be a 53? Well, we'll see, but we can calculate that the one above that, the AMG model above that, will then probably have more than 400 horsepower. But again, as I said, probably more than enough here. With a 7-speed DCT equipped with the automatic gearbox. And for more stiffness, just under the engine, they have another aluminum span just right there for additional stiffness. So they also changed at least something with the chassis to give even more torsional stiffness to this very car. Also it's come with all-wheel drive as a standard, and as this car has a predominantly front-wheel driven platform, it is basically front plus rear-wheel drive, but they also try to ensure that a lot of power is always transported to the rear wheels to have this rather sporty experience, maximum then 50% front, 50% in the rear. For example, when you use the launch control, which will also be available with this vehicle. Now let's take a look at the interior. So here we go, and the AMG models have a lot of Dynamica microfiber here on the inside, very cozy and sporty at the same time. The top part here is drawn with leather red, really cool from the build quality, so it's a little bit soft and also feels and looks good. seat control right here at the inside of the doors. You can also fit reasonable, some bigger bottles at the inside of the doors right there. Then those AMG entry badges, AMG floor mats, and also aluminum pedals to hit the throttle or the brakes. Also, you get those new AMG steering wheels. So they have a flat bottom. You can also get them with Alcantara at the sides, for example, around the steering wheel. Pretty cool. Then those turbine vents. You see the new air vents right there, and also a leatherette dashboard. Really like that. And you can see those sport seats. So you have two different forms. A base sport seat with Dynamica microfiber on the inside and leatherette on the outside. Sustainable and sporty. I would recommend you to go for that one. This one here is the optional sport seat with the same surface, but you see more shoulder support. So if you go to the racetrack, this might make sense for you to be kept even tighter. If you more wanted to use it as an everyday race driver, then probably go for the base sport seat, save the money for the optional sport seats because they are a little bit slimmer, stiffer, so they reduce the comfort just a little bit. Again, it depends really on what you are using it for. So like this, you fall into the seat a little bit more. You can control it in an electric way here. It will be easier when the door is closed, of course. Then you sit really low with those seats, so lower than you would usually sit, together with a little bit lower suspension. You get a very sporty feeling. You feel actually like in a true race car, although this is just a compact hatch. But that's also the secret of the A45 before and now the A35, the new entry model. So there's no panoramic roof in here, so you still have a lot of headroom. My size 1.86 m or 6'1". You see also when you're tall, it's no problem. You have a manual control of the steering wheel right here, but you can have a wide reach as well. There are a lot of controls on the steering wheel. Some are optional, of course. I will soon tell you more about that. But again, the position is quite racy, and even if those are the optional sport seats, so at first sight they're actually quite comfy. So it's also something which they have improved from the predecessor generation, because in the A45 before, when you sat down in those performance seat, it was like, yeah, cool for the racetrack, but on the long-term run. So those here seem really already a little bit better. But as I said, if you seek more comfort, then the base sport seats will also do just fine. Now the interior overview, and clearly you can see those turbine-style vents. Wow. I mean, you have to like that, but I do. Do you as well? Please leave it in the comments. Then this huge steering wheel. It's maybe a little bit big, but I mean, like the geometry to where your hands are coming from, actually, I think it's quite fitting. And then those lower pads here we'll be able to pick the driving modes. It's not powered at the moment. And on the left side, you can pick, for example, the suspension modes to make it a little bit stiffer or softer, then depending on the situation. Gear shifter automatic is here on the right side. Put it down to drive. And then you will start with 7-something inch on the left side. And you have the 10.25 inch on the right side. And optional, you can see the setup here with one element, basically, two 10.25 inch left and right. There are no analog instruments left whatsoever. And with your left thumb, you can control the stuff in the left screen then, when the car is properly powered. And on the right side here, use your right thumb to control this screen. It is also a touchscreen here, however, so that's also new in the new A-Class. See it right here. Also works quite well and is a great resolution. And the third method would be using this touchpad here in the lower area to zoom in and out, for example, as well. That's possible, or go back to the home screen. Then the climate unit is still accessible in a manual way with a clicking sound. I like that because when you're driving, you're sometimes maybe not so concentrated to do something in the screen. And you can also use the Hey Mercedes command. So when the infotainment system would be properly powered now, then it would also respond as for the new Ambi UX system. You can, for example, say set temperature to 22 degrees. The lower part, you can have some cup holders and also inductive charging pad for your smartphone. Smartphone either with Bluetooth or with the Apple CarPlay and Android Auto connection is available. You have a camera system too. Dynamic mode to be put in for the driving also here, or as I said, at the steering wheel. At the steering wheel it's optional though. Then we have let me first show you here in the front. This is basically also it looks like at the steering wheel with this perforated duct structure. Really cool. It's also a soft surface, and then again leatherette on the top part of the dashboard, and a Formula One style sleek decor element. Everything rather in a dark style, but I think you will also be able to pick some different decors for that. Rest of that, for example, at the inside of the door, we see brushed aluminum. I'm not sure if Holger can show you that here, for example. There it is. So here there's brushed aluminum, also in a very clean and sporty style. And last but not least, this is just to put your hand on when you control this middle touchpad. And then we also have two USB-C ports right there. So they are all now about USB-C. I don't have USB-C devices yet, so I would need an adapter. But if you have USB-C devices, this one will make your life a lot easier. So let's now get in the rear, because you buy this as an everyday sports car. And since the car is 12 centimeters longer in the new generation, this is also the thing that has massively improved. First of all, the inside of the doors, also the nice microfiber use. It's sporty and cozy at the same time. Again, also with leatherette cover also in the rear part. Really cool. I like those details. Then you see it does fit with my knees. It will be a little bit different than with the normal seats. We have to compare it also. It will be very interesting. But I mean, it does fit for tall adults here also in the rear. Also headroom-wise, this is okay as well. So yes, you can drive this car with 4 tall adults and have racing fun at the same time. Interesting also, look at that. Even the rear seats have the same, microfiber on the inside, leatherette outside, and also have an integrated head restraint. Hey, we have rarely seen that with rear seats. So also interesting that they kept this racing style for the rear. You can also flip the seats already from here, but of course we'll soon show you it also from the trunk. There's no middle armrest here, but you don't necessarily need it. Isofix on the outer seats each, but the middle seat can also be used. However, there's this middle tunnel for the all-wheel drive, and yeah, headroom-wise you can sit here. You have to put your feet left and right to the middle tunnel. It is possible to use the third seat, yes, if you're okay with your feet then. And also in the rear here we have 2 more USB supplies, and they use 2 USB-C supplies here for the rear. So I would buy an A35 if I don't want a pure sports car, but indeed also want to use it, for example, not only for having fun, but also to go to the groceries. And well, this new trunk, 370 liters in the new generation. Interesting thing is, it's 20 centimeters wider right there in the width, and also almost 12 centimeters longer. So you can see you can fit more stuff in here, and before that it was like this, with the lights, with the rear lights. So this is really the biggest step forward in the new A-Class generation, where also the sporty models then profit from. So in the lower part, some sound stuff is installed, and then you can also flip the seats right there. So there it is. So this way it goes all flat. It's a 2/3, 1/3 split, but you can also just put the middle part if you just want to load longer things through. And now to our conclusion, static premiere here of the A-Class A35 AMG. With the naming, they officially have it now, Mercedes-AMG A35. But I somehow still think, A-Class A35 AMG. Which one do you think makes more sense? However it is, I think it's a good approach to offer a new entry-level AMG, because not everyone wants to spend so much money on a car, and thinking about the normal A-Class, already expensive enough, starting at around 30,000, then even just with extras, a normal one like a A250, you can easily get to 50,000 or something. Also in the 50,000 range, I expect this model here, depending also, what extras do you pick for that. But the horsepower, I mean, is already enough, and we'll have a great performance for sure. We will show that when we drive the car. So I think it's good to offer just a level below that. And also the interior has been massively upgraded here in this new generation. So that's a big difference for sure. And cool seats, also sporty seats, then also with a combination of sportiness and at the same time they also offer sustainable materials. So what do you think? Especially also my favorite is that the trunk has been improved, more room there now as well. So indeed this one here is one of the best everyday life usable sports cars. Or what do you think?